When was it the last time you used a pen or a pencil? Did you write a list of things to do? Did you sign your name and a legal document? Did you draw a picture? Other than that, a lot of your writing was probably on a computer or smartphone. A Smith British survey in 2040 found that on average people had not used a pen or pencil to write in 41 days. People write on paper much less than the length that you do, but is it a good or a bad thing? How existence affecting people. Today's spotlight is on the end of handwriting. People have been writing for thousands of years. Writing begins with making marks on flat surface that are rock or clay stones. This took a lot of effort. It lasted for a long time. Then the people began to use paper and liquid ink to make the surface. When this happened, it was easy to write and send a message far away. But it was also easy to lose or destroy writing. Then pages of paper were collected in the first book, so people could write more. Poet pens let people write faster and more neatly. In fact, the whole history of writing is really people's attempt to find the ways to write faster and more clearly. In this way, computers and smartphones are just another step forward in writing. But has people lost something important as they stop writing by hand? Many people think writing by hand is more interesting and personal than using a computer or phone. People write using interesting form of letter and number. Each person's style is a little different. In fact, writing can even different based on your culture. Imagine writing the English letter T. If English is your first language, you will most likely first write a line up and down. Then you will make a line across nearer to the top on the first lines. However, if you are from a country like Japan, China, or Taiwan, you will probably use different methods to make English T. It is common for people there to make the line across first. Then they will make the line up and down. The line across will be close to the middle. At the end, perhaps its difference in writing gets lost in typing. She wrote for BBC that medicine has added to handwritings, encouraging shyness. Ranger is boring. Handwriting is interesting, Computers cannot show changes, and the patient has to wait in the test. There are no pictures drawn on the side of the page. There is not a person's special character shown in head letter sentence. Writing by hand can also help us learn. Pamela Muller and Daniel M. Oppenheimer are psychologists. They study people's behaviors. They compare students who take notes on the computer with students who use paper and pens. They found that students who write by hand better understood and remember what they heard. One reason for it may be the writing by hand is a simple act. A computer has all the software programs. It can connect to the internet. Students can easily find the other things to do. They can visit a website or check social media, but there is nothing can they with paper and pen except listen to the teacher. Virginia Penninger is a biologist at the University of Washington. She studies children when they grow and type. She took picture reference and they wrote. The children who wrote by hand with the apple to produce more words more quickly than children who typed. They extract more idea. Burning for that children brains show the more activity, writing while writing than typing. Handwriting improved the children's ability to think. It is because of this kind of research that the country of France continue to teach handwriting. In France, people see handwriting as an important part of French culture, but it is also an important part of the learning process. Vivian is a French school official. He spoke The Guardian. For a long time we attached little importance to handwriting. But in 2000 we began to build on working in brain sciences. We understood that writing by hand was a key step in brain development. It is not just writing a letter. There is an element of dancing when we. There is a kind of sound intimacy. These are emotions to the text. After all, that is why emotions were invented, to bring back a little emotion to text message. And yes, there are many people who feel that the end of writing isn't no problem. They believe that typing on computer and phones is just one more step forward intentionally. And too bad is the untold history and ancient future of handwriting, she wrote for the New York Times. The chances of digital age may be good for writing and writing. Students is learning to type up the keyboard very quickly. So today's young students might become better writers. Keyboards are a great help to students with some learning disability as well students with poor handwriting. These students are often much slower than those who write clearly, no matter what they write. And it is important to remember that some studies and handwriting and brain development are not always as clear as reports about them myself. It is good to enjoy writing by hand, but we should not let our love for something blind us to the truth to be continuous. People talk about the death of handing as if it is death of culture, but the goal in the education is to prepare students to become successful working adults. Typing on a computer is clearly more useful than handwriting. There are few places where handwriting is required, and there will be even few by the time today children leave school. What do you think? Is writing by hand important in your culture? How often do you open handwriting in your own language? You can type your answer on the website or email us at radio@radioenglish.net. You can also comment on Facebook and facebook.com/Spotlight Radio.